I think the topic of data collaboration and privacy is certainly on everybody's mind. There's a lot of conversation and dialogue happening here today and yesterday about that. I think the interesting thing that is happening is that at the same time that the industry, the advertising industry, is expecting and needing more data collaboration. At the same time that's happening, the privacy legislation and privacy requirements are actually increasing. And we've talked about this before, but those are often at odds with each other. The more you need to collaborate, the challenge of maintaining privacy exists. And so I think we're getting now past that stage of comfort level that companies have, whether it's on the sell side or on the buy side or agencies and marketers, where the chief privacy officers, once they start to understand the technology that's protecting the data and the consumer information, are starting to now lean into how the collaboration works because we're overcoming the hurdle of privacy.
Now, let's see, just now looking at your vertical, or perhaps even broader, what areas of the industry are adopting these collaborative data technologies? And maybe you could tell us a bit about how Snowflake fits in.
Sure. What's interesting and part of the joy that we have at Snowflake is we actually have multiple verticals. I lead the media, entertainment, and advertising vertical. We have retail and CPG as a vertical, financial services, healthcare, travel and hospitality, and a number of others. And I would say that the media and advertising vertical is probably the furthest ahead from a data collaboration perspective. And I think, effectively that's because the industry has been digital or digitized earlier than a lot of other industries, right? Bricks and mortar, healthcare, are still going through this digital transformation. So with media being digitized and having online and mobile capability, they're further ahead in terms of collaboration and data and privacy within the industry of media. Then I would say that the largest players that have first-party data or that direct consumer relationship with their customer and the data that represents are the furthest ahead because they've had to, adapt to having all of a sudden 100 million subscribers, right? A Disney or an NBCU or a Warner Brothers Discovery, where they were wholesalers before, they're now, direct relationships. And so that's really, sea change has driven this advancement that those companies have. And then I think that what you're now starting to see is that the marketers and the agencies are now wanting to match that kind of collaboration capability and bring their own assets to the table, if you will.
Well, that's great. So perhaps you could tell us just a bit more of some of the applications, use cases for these new collaborative technologies,
Sure.
And maybe a little bit more about how Snowflake fits in with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of this, if you think about it from a use case perspective, is it starts with identity, and it starts with either a media company, a publisher, or an advertiser having data about their customer, but they need to expand the view and the understanding of that customer relationship. So they have to enrich it, or they have to maybe expand it to match email addresses and IP addresses and a number of other things, of course, in a privacy compliant way. So that identity part is critical. And then I think you're going to see that unlocks the use cases. We've talked about it a lot here the last 2 days, is it starts to unlock new audiences, right? Nobody's ever had collaborative data before. So we're not even yet to the stage where we see how it performs because it's a brand new area. We've only sort of had single source data. Collaborative data for marketing purposes is just now emerging. And that identity part is going to flow through, all the use cases within the industry. Snowflake, to your part of the question, is very supportive from an industry standpoint, where we don't sell data ourselves. We don't sell or buy identity. We don't sell ads. We don't measure ads. And so we see our role as a very supportive function, and actually even taking some of the cost out, but enabling the technology to allow this to happen. And that's an important function because there's very few companies in our industry that are not sort of in any of those areas. And so we feel like that's a responsibility that we take seriously and want to enable for the industry.
Well, finally, Bill, I was hoping you could tell us a bit more about what you see happening, let's say, in the next 6 months to a year. If maybe there's something on your wish list you'd like to see happen, or if there's something that is worrisome, like what's keeping you up at night. What do you see ahead?
Well, I think, predicting or prognosticating in this industry is not the easiest thing. I think if I could do that super successfully, maybe I would be retired by now. I don't know. But I think there is a real desire to collaborate among the industry. And I think that's an important aspect that we really quite haven't seen before. So I think that there's a desire to come up with interoperability and some standardization and things that can bring all the parts of the ecosystem together. I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see more interoperability between larger walled gardens and marketers and big media companies. And I think that collaboration and that interoperability is very important. And I think all the constituents are very interested in making that happen. So I think that's going to accelerate. From an economic perspective, you never know what's going to happen, but I think even from that standpoint, that might force and drive more innovative and collaboration faster, perhaps. As we all know, sometimes innovation happens even faster when there's a economic downturn. So, but that's hopefully that's a good predictor for you.